All right, here we go with 7-5. So we're finally going to do all-out story problems. We really haven't been doing those so far. We've been doing parts, but not the whole thing. So here's the procedure that we're going to follow to do these 3 examples that I have. First of all, read the whole problem carefully all the way through. The whole problem, and read it at least once. Read it twice if you need to. Okay? Don't read the first sentence and then try to write something down. You've got to read the whole thing. Once you've done that and you understand what the problem is looking for, write down any formulas or draw pictures if it's appropriate. Sometimes it's appropriate for a picture, sometimes it isn't. Then we want to define the variables. We've practiced that. We've had that in other sections where we define the variables. We say x is equal to this. X plus 2 is equal to something else. Then we're going to write the equation using the variable expressions that you defined in C. We've practiced that. Now we're going to solve that equation that we write. And then check your answers. You can't check your answer for a story problem by plugging it back in, because chances are if something is wrong, you have written the equation incorrectly. That's the hardest part. So if you're checking your answer into an incorrect equation, that's not going to do you any good. The best way to check a story problem is ask yourself, does this answer make sense? If you get that John is riding his bike at 56 miles per hour, that probably does not make sense. Okay, so we're going to follow this procedure for all of the 3 problems that we're going to do here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to read number 1 all the way through. Ty has a rectangular planter box in his front yard that has a width of 3 feet and a length of 5 feet. He plans to increase the length by X feet so that the new perimeter is 30 feet. So he has a planter box. We know its dimensions, and we know he's going to increase just the length by X to give me a new perimeter. So this is a good one to draw a picture, because we can draw a picture of a rectangle, a rectangular planter box. So here we go. So there's the rectangular planter box. We know right now that the dimensions, it has a width of 3 feet and it has a length of 5 feet. Okay, so there's my picture. Now, what does he want to do? He wants to increase the length by X feet. So here's my length. He wants to increase the length by X feet. So that means that this section right there is X. Well, if he increases the length, that means that it's going to look something like that. So he's going to increase the length so that the new perimeter is 30 feet. So drawing a picture and labeling it with an X is the same thing as defining the variable. Okay, we don't have to define the variable separately now. So it says the new perimeter is 30. So perimeter is equal to 30. And how do you find the perimeter? Well, you add all of the sides. And we know when we add all of the sides, we're going to set it equal to 30. So I think we're ready to kind of set up our equation. So just so you know, so here is my new planter box now. And we're going to add all the sides, and we know that that is equal to 30. Well, this side is 3, so hopefully you know that this side is 3. We know from here to here is 5, and we know from here to here is X. So we know all of those different lengths. So let's add them all up, and it should equal 30. So here we go. I'm going to start right here, and then I'm going to just go around and add everything up. So 5 plus x plus 3 plus x plus 5 plus 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I should have 6 things down here, and you can see that I do. So this is the perimeter. And what does the story problem say that's equal to? It is equal to 30. There's my equation. So we have to solve this. So I'm looking at some like terms I can combine. I have 1x plus 1x is 2x. And then I have 5 plus 3 is 8, plus 5 is 13, plus 3 is a total of 16. Okay, now let's go ahead and solve it. Well, I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. And I'm going to get 2x is equal to 30 minus 16 is 14. Divide both sides by 2, and I get x equals 7. Let's look at the question for A. How much should the length be enlarged? Well, isn't how much the length should be enlarged just that right there? And remember, that was our x. So we just found that. The answer for how long should it be enlarged is 7 feet. That's what I just found. The second question is now, what will the length of the new enlarged planter be? Well, remember the length of the original one was 5. The length of the new one would be 5 plus 7, or 12 feet. If it asked us to find the new perimeter, would we be able to do that? Absolutely. We could just go ahead and we could plug our 7 in for both x's and add up all the numbers, and we would be able to find the new perimeter if it asked us for it, but it doesn't. Okay. So I tried to pick story problems to do that are all different kinds. So let's read number 2 all the way through, because notice at the end it says follow the steps in the procedure. That's what we're going to do. So Carl, excuse me, is a clerk at a store. Dylan, an assistant manager at the store, earns $3,500 more annually, which means per year, than Carl does. The sum of Carl's annual salary and Dylan's annual salary is $52,700. How much does each earn annually? So there's no picture to be drawn here, certainly. It's not a geometric picture. So let's define our variables like we learned how to do at the beginning of this chapter and last chapter. So who are the two people we're talking about? Well, we're talking about Carl's salary, and we're talking about Dylan's salary. And remember, one of them has to be the x. So let's read the story problem again, and let's see what is the relationship between Carl's and Dylan's salary. Well, it says Dylan's, he earns $3,500 more than Carl. So Dylan's salary is $3,500 more than Carl's. So which one has to be our x? Our Carl has to be x, because Dylan is $3,500 more than that, or x plus 3,500. So there we have represented, we've defined our variables, we've represented both Carl's and Dylan's salaries. Now it's time to set up our equation. Well, what does it say about their salaries? It says the sum of their salaries. What does sum mean? Remember, sum is the answer to an addition problem. So this says that if I add the two salaries, it's going to equal $52,700. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take both of their salaries. I'm going to add them together. And according to the story problem, that is going to be equal to 5,207 or 52,700. So there's my equation. All right, so let's use our steps to solve. There's no parentheses, but I see some like terms. 1x plus 1x is 2x. All my x's are over here, so I want to get rid of this 3,500. So I'm going to subtract 3,500 from both sides of my equal sign. Those will cancel, and I'm going to be left with 2x is equal to, if I subtract, I'm going to get 0, 0, 2, and 52 minus 3 is 49. So 49,200. If I divide both sides by 2, these 2's are going to cancel. X is equal to, now technically we're in a place where you still cannot use a calculator. So let's go ahead and let's do the math and divide 2 into 49,200. So 2 goes into 4 twice. Subtract, we get 0. Bring down the 9. 2 goes into 9 4 times. 4 times 8, or 4 times 2 is 8. Subtract, I get 1. Bring down the 2. 2 divides into 12, 6. So that's going to give me 12. Bring down the 0. Goes into their 0. And into their 0. So you can see that it's going to be 24,600. Now, did we answer the question? Well, what does it want us to find? How much does each earn annually? And whose salary did I just find? Well, I found X, which is Carl's salary. So Carl earns $24,600. Dylan earns 24,600 plus 3,500. Let's see, 8. So Dylan earns $28,100. And now I have found both of their salaries. All right, last one. So on Monday, the total number of skiers at a resort was 372. So the total was 372. There were 38 fewer people using the beginner slopes than the intermediate slopes, and 140 more people using the advanced slopes than the intermediate slopes. How many people were skiing on each type of slope? So how many types of slope are there? We have to define our variables. Well, there's 3. There's the beginner slope. There's the intermediate slope. And then there's the advanced slopes. And we have to define those variables. One of them, again, has to be X. So let's see what it says. It says there were 38 fewer people on the beginner slopes than on the intermediate. So there were 38 fewer people on the beginning than on the intermediate. That should tell you that your intermediate's going to be X. And if there were 38 fewer people here, that means this one's going to be X minus 38. All right, let's keep going. And 140 more people on the advanced slopes than the intermediate. So there were 140 more on the advanced than on the intermediate. So that would be x plus 140. So here's the number of people on the beginners, the number of people on the intermediates, and the number of people on the advanced. And what do we know? We know the total number of people was 372. Total means we're going to do what? To these three, we're going to add them together. So x minus 38 plus x plus 140, that's the total. It should equal 372. So let's go ahead and let's solve this. Well, I'm looking at some like terms, 1x, 2x, 3x. And then what's negative 38 and a positive 140, that's plus 102 is equal to 372. I need to get this x alone, so I need to undo the adding 102. I'm going to subtract 102 from both sides. So 3x is going to equal, if I subtract this, I'm going to get 0, 7, and 2. If I divide now both sides of my equal sign by 3, I get x equals 90. So what did I just find? I found x. And what does x represent? X is the number of people on the intermediate slope. It says how many people were skiing on each type of slope. So we now know on the intermediate there were 90 people. On the beginner, there would be 90 minus 38, which is what, 52 people? And finally, on the advanced, there is 90, because that's my x, plus 140, which is 230 people. So once you find x, it's just a matter of plugging it in. And there you go. That's the end of our chapter 7.